Let's do the flowers in the field. On this one, you're going to be taking this sunflower and duplicating it, making it bigger and putting one in one color corner, it's not color, corner, and blurring it, and then taking the same copy and making a little smaller and blurring that one as well. So let's go through their steps and we'll see which part starts to cause a little bit of problem. So to begin with, we're going to take the quick selection tool. If it's not already selected, then you can just click right on it. But remember, hold the mouse button down if you don't see the quick selection. When you move your mouse over any of these tools and you leave it there for a second, it will tell you what the tool does, and you can watch a short little video if you want to know more. Hold the mouse button down and it shows you additional items. Now for yours, you might actually have your toolbar set up where it's thin. I personally don't like that. I like having it this way, but I've been using this for a long time, so this is the way they used to have it. This is to save space on the screen, but it makes me have to go really far down to find the stuff. So I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to hold my mouse button down. I'm going to make sure quick selection is chosen. I'm going to make sure that the add to selection is here, and then I'm going to click next, and then I'm going to change my brush size. It wants it to be 175. I'm going to click away and I'm going to look at wants a hardness of 0. Remember, the hardness is how blurry or how soft is the edge. If it's at 100%, it's going to be super sharp. If it's at 0%, it'll be kind of fuzzy, almost like a spray paint. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to click on next. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click once. I'm going to tap. By doing that, it found the edge of the sunflower pretty well because there's a good contrast in the background between the hair and the blurriness of these other photos. So it found a pretty good job. If you go too far out, what I'd recommend is press Command D to deselect and tap it once and try it again. So now that you have that, you're going to click on next. And now we're going to make a copy. So with this program that's floating on top of Photoshop, we have to go to File, or we have to go to Layer, New, Layer via Copy. I've memorized this keyboard shortcut. That's a way faster way to do it, but not for these lessons. So I'm going to do what they tell us. So now that it's been duplicated, it's actually on its own layer. So see, there's 2 copies. Then I'm going to click next, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to scale. So I'm going to transform, scale. And at this point, it's telling me to use the move tool, and it wants me to drag the move tool over, but it's pretty small. It didn't tell you to make it bigger. So at this point, I'm going to make it bigger by pressing Command T for transform. And I'm going to grab one of these corners and I'm going to make it pretty good size. And what it's telling me is it says to drag it to the bottom right corner until only about 1/3 of the flower is visible. So I'm going to double click to accept my transformation and drag it down here. And I'm going to get about 1/3 of the photo showing up. All right, now that I've got that, I'm going to click next. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer, new, and layer via copy. So now I have a second flower. I don't know why it's locking up again. If I do this again, it's going to make a 3rd flower. So I'm going to end up deleting that. Whoops, let me hit cancel, grab the wrong one. Layer, new, layer via copy. Yeah, see, it's just not kicking me out of this. So let me show you what it can do. You may be able to get past that point, but I'm just going to show you the basics of what's going to happen here. We're trying to make a fake depth of field. So you notice how it's blurry here, but it's sharp here. We want this front end of these flowers to be blurrier. So I'm going to take this second layer that I made. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to press Command T for transform, and I'm going to grab this corner to make this a little bit larger. I'm going to change that. Now what I want to do is I want to blur these layers, and it's just not letting me right now because this little blue thing keeps popping up. So I'm going to hit reset, but I'm going to hit cancel. Yeah, it's hating. All right, we're just going to go straight here. So I'm going to go up to filter. I'm going to come down here to blur, and I'm going to do Gaussian blur. What this is going to do is this is going to fade this flower out by making it blurry. It's almost as if your eye was really up close to it. So I'm going to kind of play around with the settings. If it goes too far, it just disappears. If it's there, it gets really blurry. If you just barely move it, it's not really changing much. So I'm going to move this. Yeah, I think I'll try about there. So maybe I'm going to type in like 8. Yeah, that looks okay. Now I'm going to click on this one right here. That's the bigger one that's in front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to apply another filter and blur it again. But I'm not going to choose this one. This is going to give me the same exact settings I did here, but I want to do something slightly different with this one. So I'm going to go back to blur down here and choose Gaussian. Not that much. Oof. I'm going to put that at about 9.7 and click OK. So what's happened is we've used this to select one of the flowers. We've scaled it or transformed it to make it larger. We did that in 2 locations. And then we used the Gaussian blur with different settings to blur those 2 pieces. From there, you can just save the file. This one will not show up with the little green check mark inside of the Discover, but this is one you can just load up individually and show that one to me in class. So I'm just changing it to that because I've already done these, but now that I'm recording these videos, I just want to change the name. For you, just continue to do like VE 12, 13, 14, whatever it is.